Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Hemani Bhansal here. We are going to talk about the digital cognitive services for at-home autism. And myself, I'm a speech language pathologist and audiologist, and I'm currently practicing in Kanpur, UP, India. So I'm running my center, Harmony Speech Therapy Center, and this live is being done in collaboration with Harmony Speech and Orange Neurosciences from Canada. And shortly, Dr. Vinay Singh, the CEO of Orange Neurosciences, is going to join us. Meanwhile, we are going to proceed with the session, and we will see like how the different cognitive domains uh, affect the speech and language development in the children and people with autism, and how do we create an effective assessment and the intervention tool for the same. Um, so here we have what are the cognitive domains basically, and the question comes with the parents that what is cognition, like what is the cognitive domain? Does it mean just the IQ or the social quotient of the child? But actually no, it's beyond that. There are so many things included in the cognitive domains, and there are so many cognitive skills which are closely related to different parts of the brain. They work in a complex networks inside the brain, and they are responsible for so many day-to-day activities and functioning of life. uh, as per the science, like there is no clear connection with the different specific areas, but now the studies have proven that there are different areas which are specific with these cognitive domains, and they are a very key factor when we talk about the speech and language development of a person with autism. So there are five major domains which we are going to target. That is attention, perception, memory, executive functioning, and coordination. We are going to see like what specific areas are responsible for the same, and also will be having like certain a short discussion about how these areas are going to affect the language and the speech aspect in children and adults with autism. So for attention, it's like so there is something called prefrontal cortex in human brain, which is actually responsible for most of the cognitive functioning, and attention is one of them. So anything is altered over there, it actually affects the attention part of the person with autism. And also attention and listening skills, they basically create the prerequisite for speech and language development, as we can see with this pyramid. So the attention and listening skills are needed to develop the social interaction and the play skills, which ultimately form the base for the understanding and expression of language. So that is the reason that attention is a very key domain with respect to the cognition. We go for a evaluation of a child. So many professionals, especially I'm talking about the SLPs, they miss out these cognitive domains. And we basically lack in the understanding of these domains, which ultimately results in a poor prognosis or a slower progress rate in the child. And most of the parents are having the same concerns that why the child is not improving. They are taking so many therapies, that is like ABA, OT, so many therapies are there now. And but still there are many questions which still remain unanswered. So the answer is that these are the cognitive domains, out of which attention is one of the very important key factor, which actually affects the basis for the understanding and expression of language in autism. There are like four or five kinds of attention. So when we talk about attention, we just think, okay, that the child or the person should sit at a place and listen to what we are talking, or if we give a certain activity, he or she should be able to perform it for a very long duration of time, as in a sustained attention. But actually that's not the only attention. There are so many different levels of attention which we need to assess when we look at a person with autism. And they are like, suppose that is the divided attention, there is a sustained attention, there is an alternating attention. So like there's a selective attention. There are so many different terms which we have to assess with respect to attention as well. Now, when we move on to the perception, so perception in autism, we are going to see how the auditory, as in the ears, and the visual, as in the eyes, they basically work in a collaboration to process the language and the speech sounds. most of the time parents are not aware about this. They think that the child is listening normally, the hearing skills are fine, the skills are also fine, there is no issues, but actually their coordination, their synchronization is not up to the mark. And inside the brain, they're not able to decode whatever information they are getting from us. And suppose when we are giving a stimulus verbally, so the child is listening to that, that is the auditory processing happening. And then when we present a stimulus in a visual form, as in a flashcard or an object or anything in a reading form, in a written form, there should be a coordination of the visual and the auditory processing in the child, which ultimately affects how the speech sounds are decoded, how their emotional aspect, as in the frequency and pitch, and so many different aspects are going to be understood by the child. And then only the child will be able to understand the meaning of the utterance. So that is the important factor again, which is responsible for the development of speech and language in autism. Now, when we talk about the memory, it's like there are some studies which have proven that the people with autism have a poor episodic memory, in the sense, when they go to an event, for a simple example, like when the child goes to a birthday party and later on when they come back, or the child goes to school and he comes back, mostly the parents want that, okay, the child should be able to tell what has happened in the school. But usually the child is not able to answer, even after repeated questioning or provided with the verbal prompts. And many times now people are using the visual schedules, still it becomes a very difficult task for the child to recall the events and express them verbally. So that means many a times the studies have proven now that there is something which interferes the memory aspect as well in people with autism. And again, when memory is affected, the executive functioning is also affected. So after this, we are going to see about the executive functioning. So that is the reason that we need to assess the memory aspect as well. Now, when we come to the executive functioning, it is not just that one word executive functioning, that we say something and the child should be able to perform it right there. It is not just that. Executive functioning means the initiation of the task, the able to plan the task before starting it, the ability to organize the task, the ability to have the time management, the emotional regulations, the self-control, the attention, the working memory, the processing. So many things are included all under one umbrella word, that is the executive functioning. So the executive functioning, so here in this pyramid, it's very evident that the inside and outside of the child, and in between lies the language. So that means the inside, there's a lot of things ongoing, which we already discussed about, as in the audiovisual perception, the attention, the executive functioning. All of these things contribute to the language. And what we see from outside is the social interaction and the behavior of the child. Based on that, usually the parents are always worried that the child is not interacting socially, the pragmatics are lacking, the behavior is not getting settled down. They go to the ABA therapist, and still many a times they are not seeing the 100% that sudden change. So might be that the executive functioning in the brain of the child is not getting processed in a correct way. So that might be the reason that the child's language and the behavior is not showing the great progress which the parents are expecting with the traditional therapy approaches. So these are the challenges which the parents usually face. The child is not able to perform the day-to-day task. The child is not able to convey the needs, the basic needs like the toilet needs and so many other things. And it becomes difficult for the parents to train the child for all these things. So that is why executive function again plays a very key role in the development of speech and language. Now, next, we come to the motor coordination. So motor coordination, as in when we have a message in the brain, we need to decode it, and our lips, our articulators, our facial expressions, they should be able to say it out. They should be able to articulate it. So there are studies which have actually proven that there's a problem in the coupling of speech production and the fine motor speech skill system in children with autism. So that is the reason that when we are doing a cognitive assessment, there is a need to assess the coordination part as well. It doesn't look like an aspect of a speech therapy. The coordination mostly goes with the occupational therapy, that, okay, we are going to see the hand-eye coordination or the balancing, the motor coordination, but it's not limited to that. It even plays a very important role in the speech and language aspect of the child with autism. So That is the reason that we have to look at all of these aspects all together when we have a child or a person with autism. Mostly these days, there are so many psychological tests available for cognitive evaluation. Here's a list of just a few of them. There are many of them. The thing is that these tests are not 100% efficient. So many therapies are there, behavioral therapies are there. Now the doctors are giving so many medicines with side effects. And so many things are there, like they are very expensive, sometimes they are not accessible to everybody. And apart from this, there are so many challenges, like the people are not able to access them, they're in the remote areas, sometimes the inavailability of the therapist. All these things ultimately contribute to the inefficiency of the currently available psychological testings. Another thing is that they are very time consuming. When a person goes for the evaluation for these cognitive domains, it takes hours, maybe multiple sittings or multiple schedulings for the testing. And again, it costs too much of amount for the parents to go over these testing. And even after that, the report which is generated is again not that much objective. It is not easy to objectify the whole report, to document it, and to track the progress with respect to all of these domains. So here we are having a program, the Read On program, which is given by the Orange Neurosciences. This program is an effective tool for the cognitive assessment and the cognitive remediation therapy as well. So it is not just the assessment tool, it is a FDA approved non-pharmacological assessment and intervention for the kids with autism. Have a detailed discussion about this program and how it can be performed, how it is effective in kids with autism, and how it can be done at home, and different technicalities. So now, as we move on to the technical aspects of the program, I would request Dr. Singh to join us and give us insights over the same. Dr. Vinay.
Hi, thank you, Hemani. Hello, everyone. Hemani, if you switch off your screen, hopefully people can see mine.
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Okay, I thought, and Hemani, thank you for setting the stage for us to know what are the challenges faced by parents in understanding where the speech intervention is required. But where do we come in? We, as you are explaining to everyone, our role starts as a prerequisite, as preparing or priming the brain and cognitive interventions. I thought it would be useful to hear a parent talk about the challenges they had faced and how Read On helped, and before we go into the system.
Actually diagnosed with ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, at the age of 4. And soon afterwards, because he was still having problems in school, he was also diagnosed with being on the autism spectrum as well. He had very fierce behavior issues. He was a very difficult child to handle. I found that he had a speech delay as well. He was nonverbal. So as he was growing older, it just seemed that he was getting stuck, or like he's not improving at all. I was getting really worried about Ahmed and whether he'll ever, be normal. Heard about Read On when it was being launched. I was very keen to try it. So I wasn't really expecting much, but I was really surprised to notice initially behavior changes. A little bit less anxious in public. When I had finished around 6-7 sessions, I took him out to the museum and I noticed that he was remembering things. He was reading things from the museum, as posing with a smile for the in front of the dinosaurs, and for a change, the security wasn't following us. And I said, it's very unusual for Ahmed. This is remarkable. I mean, he's happy for a change and smiling for a photograph. Mostly the behavior changes initially, and then soon afterwards, I noticed that he started speaking and communicating properly. He was like giving proper responses to my questions. Absolutely amazing for me to hear him express himself so fluently. I would highly recommend Read On to all parents, especially the special ones, especially the ADHD ones. It's the best non-pharmacological treatment. There's no side effects. It's not medication. So I highly recommend it to all parents to definitely give this new therapy a try. It's cost-effective and remarkable results. My friend
So, well, you know what? Yes, it's a testimonial, but more importantly, this is what keeps us going at Orange Neurosciences. I'm a former professor who did research in the bioinformatics and neuroscience field. But more importantly, the impact we are able to create in the lives of the parents and the children or adults, even, it's what gets us going. Orange Neurosciences doesn't work directly with the families. We are purely B2B, but professionals like Hemani here, we have over 400 professionals in 8 countries who are helping people on spectrum as well as other neurodiverse conditions as well. Let me take next few minutes and we'll be happy to answer. I know you all want to speak with Hemani and how she can provide help, but let me give you a little more information about what went behind the scene in making this program. So it's a very, very simple, accessible, affordable, and scalable AI-powered platform. It has 2 components, cognitive assessment, I'll give you a little more deal, as well as cognitive remediation therapy or remedial intervention. It's a video game-based assessment and intervention. Few words that Hemani really pushed on was subjective versus objective. When we are doing the assessments for someone on autism spectrum, we are interviewing parents, we are interviewing families, teachers, and all those tools are still has levels of subjectivity. When we use video game-based intervention, we are able to measure very objectively certain things. So remember, so this is one of the key premise or thesis for our platform, which is, so it's a patented platform where we took the science of comprehension or understanding. As was explained, we need to be able to visually process some information. We need to be auditory process some information, which goes into our brain. And then we use our executive function, attention, and working memory to be able to understand and respond to that. So that's the premise that happens in our platform and how we work together. And that's why we are able to help people who are nonverbal, which is where their sensory needs are met. We are able to improve the fine motor or the gross motor skills. We are able to see changes happening in the executive function, which sometimes translates into their body balance or hand-eye coordination, as well as changes into working memory and attention, which we have seen getting translated into improvement in reading and writing. Because remember, in the end, finding a meaningful employment, finding a position where they can help others and be responsible is also one of the goals. So reading, writing, attention, executive function, several of these parameters can be cognitively enhanced. 5 key cognitive domains that we already know. But what we do is, so this is how a typical setup looks like. We can work at home. We only need a desktop or a laptop computer and an over-ear headphone. The picture on the left is actually a home setup where someone is actually a 15-year-old who is trying to do, and what you are seeing on the screen, they are playing certain set of games, the video games. And I will explain what happens more there. On the right is actually a clinic in New Delhi where they have prepared this setup where people come in at center, people who cannot afford computers, but we do work with organizations where people can go either in the clinic or it can be done at home. These are just an example of some of the games for evaluation. The long list of tests that Hemani had showed to you, this is what happens when you have to go to a psychologist. They are paper pencil based sometimes. There are some app based testing as well. But in general, it takes a long time to get a full evaluation or even diagnosis. Our platform produces a report. It's not a diagnostic report, but it's a full assessment that a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a neurologist would use to give a diagnosis. So what we have done is a clinical decision support tool, which we have done. So for example, you're seeing here a game that a person would play, which will give them an eye-hand coordination test. On the right here is a psychomotor vigilance test. Visual memory, very simple, like what they are doing. They're given certain cards, wish list test to do the test, and that could be done on a game. For a distance evaluation as well, number congruency, maze test. So there is a collection of around 15 games, depending on what we are trying to measure. collection of game. You can do only memory tests, you can do only attention tests, or you can do a full cognitive profile, which will take around 15 to 40 minutes to get that report. And a fully personalized and customized report is generated. Now, that report can be used by professionals to prepare their intervention plan. It could be a speech pathologist, an occupational therapist, or even a special education teacher once they understand where the intervention is required. Or they can use the digital program from our platform itself to enhance the cognitive skills. So these were just some of the tests. Here is an example of report. And again, please feel free to reach out to Hemani or to us directly, where we can provide this example and more information. Specifically, we using these tools, we can measure the physical well-being, psychological well-being, and social well-being. The report is very inclusive in a sense. It tells about their reasoning, but subdomains like processing speed, shifting, planning, along with the explanation, what happens. So this report is very parent friendly. Obviously, the professional is who is conducting or administering this report, working with you at home. They will provide the information, but the printed report that comes out after the assessment is done is very user friendly, parent friendly, to explain what is happening and where the changes are. And it's pretty visual in that sense to explain. And as we are going through any of the interventions, either ours or the other tools that is used, it can again be done. So it's a standardized, aged, and gender matched test. What that means is every 3 months or every 6 months, as we are going through different intervention program, we can come back to using this assessment and start to see if there is a change happening and what other necessary intervention is required. Actually, this is a very interesting one. We have started to introduce this report in school setting. Autistic students who are going into school and they're having challenges sometimes even without the diagnosis, because I'm living in Ontario here in Canada. We have a long wait time, well, on average 2 to 2.5 years to get a formal diagnosis or even the plans. But having said that, a school teacher or an education assistant, where they want to create some sort of inclusive environment for that, they can use this assessment administered through a psychological associate or a psychologist or a mental health professional or even a speech pathologist. Like here, I'm aware that Hemani uses for her clients. You can look at all the different 22 parameters and align it with the educational outcomes. So if you're going into school and they're having difficulty with different type of cognitive skill, it can measure where you're having challenges with math or English. Sometimes they are really good in math and they cannot do any of the literacy program. To create a more inclusive or IEP program, this report again can be used for that purpose, or for helping where the selection could be. So if someone is really good in music, maybe that's where the strengths are there. So cognitive strength and weaknesses aligned to the educational outcome can be again produced again from the same tests. So I did not prepare a long presentation only because I wanted to spend time with you all in answering any questions. Here is a summary to explain what ReadOn does in terms of assessment and intervention. So quick video, and then we'll be happy to answer your questions.
What is ReadOn? ReadOn is helping people with learning problems, and it does that by using the latest technology. ReadOn.ai is an award-winning digital cognitive therapy developed in Canada, helping people with dyslexia, ADHD, autism spectrum disorders, and other learning difficulties. It is powered by AI and improves attention, focus, vision, and comprehension amongst a range of other skills. ReadOn's 3 unique features are flexibility, speed, and range. ReadOn supports different therapeutic interventions such as speech, auditory, behavioral, visual, and occupational therapies. It can be seamlessly provided in schools, therapy centers, or at home. For the therapy, the child or adult licensee sits in front of a computer with a screen 15 inches or more, a headset, a mouse, and a keyboard, and plays scientifically designed games under supervision of a parent, therapist, or a guardian. As the child or the adult user completes an hour-long session, the parent can guide and track the progress. Round 1 comprises of 15 hourly sessions and can be repeated if required, depending on the progress of the user. Join numerous parents and therapists worldwide who are using ReadOn to help children improve their speech, reading, communication, as well as behavioral issues. ReadOn has proven fast-track learning, and we offer 100% money-back guarantee. Let's transform lives together. Try ReadOn today.
Okay, that money back guarantee was our provider. Obviously, we never have to do because as a corporate, we don't do that. This video was provided by our provider out of Bahrain, who has a center where we're working with different parents directly. It was very powerful in a sense because when I was asked by the provider, can we go ahead and tell that I can guarantee? Well, remember, it's an intervention. Everyone is going to respond differently. Some low response, some higher. We back that claim for our provider. And what I can tell you is in our last 8 years of working as a startup or working and helping these 400 clients, we never had to pay anyone any money because we have never seen anyone not able to see no change. Obviously, there are 22 different parameters. Something is happening, but working through this cognitive game-based intervention where it helps them improve a professional, a speech, OT, fine motor, whichever way they are trying to look at it. There has never happened yet that we haven't seen any changes. But again, we would love to work with families and parents. We would want them to give this technology a try. It is not an answer to everything, but part of the interventions that you are trying to do for your family and your child, this, to our best knowledge, is a really useful tool. So happy to answer any questions to everyone. This was summary of digital cognitive therapy for at-home autism services. These are our email addresses. Obviously, we are here, both me and Hemani, happy to answer any questions. And thank you so much for listening to us. And actually, before I forget, I know Hemani may have already done that, but we really want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thanks to Autism Connect for giving us this opportunity to bring this message to all of you. And Autism Connecting team, we really appreciate for making this happen so that we can chat directly with the families. Well, we were told that there would be questions coming in directly on our chat, but looks like if there is none, once again, thank you so much for listening to us. And our coordinates are right here. Send us an email. You can visit orangeneurosciences.com or Harmony Speech to connect directly with the providers, or reach out to us if you are in different parts of the world, and we will help you guide to the respective organizations or professionals. As I said, we have presence in 8 countries, and over 400 professionals who are currently providing read-on as a service for at-home or in-clinic services for autism care. Thank you once again. I'll stop the sharing, and please follow us on the socials. And thank you, Autism Connect, once again.
Thanks, Dr. Vinay. Thanks, Dr. Autism Connect, for sharing your insights over the Read On program, and Autism Connect for giving us the opportunity to share our experiences, and me as an SLP to connect with the people, the families directly, and trying to educate them about a few unanswered questions, maybe, and letting them know about the role of cognition and the different domains, because the parents I also encounter parents day by day, almost like everyday routine, that so many parents have the same concern, the child doesn't improve. So this was, I think, a wonderful opportunity to let them know that yes, there is something beyond just the speech, just the language, what we see in a child, which needs to be assessed and worked upon. So, and thanks to Dr. Vinay for creating such a wonderful tool, such a wonderful platform where we as providers are getting like great progress in our clients, and this is really like helping us a lot. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.